In the second part of the ContraMinds Timeless Wisdom series, I continue to reflect back on my conversation with Kumar Vembu. In this episode, Kumar Vembu talks about the importance of the team's emotion in doing a good job. He says this begins by being transparent and real in what you do and the ability of the people to accept what they do as they are. He breaks the generally accepted myth that bosses must know everything and are invincible. In fact, he goes on to say that Gen Zs of today want to work with leaders who are real and they really appreciate when you say, I don't know. He also talks about an ingenious method of converting client escalations into an engineering problem, which I thought was phenomenal. Finally, he says he places greater value on emotion over data, but he says data will be used to validate if the emotion that people express is real or not. He stresses the need for people to be deeply self-aware of what they do at work, and he says that leads to a happiness company. Let's now dive into the conversation.
So, as I was looking at your current venture, which is GoFrugal, and I went back and looked at some of the Glassdoor ratings, and I compared it with the Zoho. Okay, GoFrugal is largely a India-based product company, while Zoho is a company which builds products for the global market. And when I looked at the overall culture and ratings, it was very, very close to the Zoho ratings, right? So therefore, here there is an Indian company, and I've always heard you say building a product in India, delivering a product in India is very difficult. I saw the work-life balance rating, which was slightly lower than Zoho, but right from the fact that all the ratings, if I were to look at it, were pretty much same as a company that's building a global product. So what did you do in GoFrugal, and what levers did you apply differently in a product company which is actually doing it in India? Because the engineers' expectations are very, very different, because everybody expects, the Infosys or the TCSs or, a global culture which is there, while building a product for India is very, very tough. As you rightly said, the return on effort, is far more lower. So therefore, when I looked at that ratings, it was very, very stark for me, right? And that tells a lot about the way you build that culture. So what levers have you used in building GoFrugal?
No, I think, I'm glad you are doing this podcast now, because maybe if you had done it 5 years back, the Glassdoor rating would not have been same. And the second thing is, if you see our what I had written in the Glassdoor about company overview, right? I actually don't respect anonymous feedback, because if somebody is a professional, it requires that they have the guts to share feedback openly, right? So we actually, honestly, we don't take Glassdoor very seriously, because I found a lot of, I can say it's very easy to, for example, you can give a rating for Microsoft or GoFrugal very easily, and those guys don't even detect it and remove it, right?
Kumar, I think I totally agree with you. And I also don't believe, because anonymous feedback doesn't give you anything. But for me, it is an indication of what happens inside the company, right? Because for me, the difference that I'm seeing is the expectation of many of these engineers is I need to have a global culture, what happens in companies, but it is not real. The expectation is not real. But the fact that you have been able to do that, to me, is a very, very clear indication that setting expectations right is something that you have done very well. And therefore, I wanted to understand the levers.
So see, there are, I think 3-4 things we have been focused on for probably close to 10 years now, right? The first and the most important thing is we are a happiness first company. That means I measure happiness every day. So, in the sense that we have a daily reporting system, right? So that people spend 15-20 minutes reflecting about the day's work, right? And the first thing they report about in their daily report is how happy they are at work, emotion of the day, right? How did they feel? So in the induction also, the first thing we tell every new joinee is professionally we want you to start the day happy and end the day happy, meaning nothing that happens in the company should make you unhappy, right? So that means I believe this is very, very important, because people spend 10 to 12 hours of their time every day during working days in the office, and we don't want the friction in their work, right? So that means this is helping us, just by measuring happiness, we are able to understand the challenges people are facing. We are able to understand where people are less productive, or where their effort is going waste, right? And we are able to learn more on all aspects that leads to productivity, right? And improve. So every one of our team leads and managers also look at the daily report of every individual. So if there are frictions and the challenges and things like that, they go and address that. So that happiness, being happiness first, and reporting this happiness in every project they engage with in a day, has really helped us, improve a lot of things. Right? And the second most important thing we care about is, whether we are providing a psychologically safe environment for everybody, right? That means to offer that psychological safety, we are very transparent and open. So even when things don't go well, right? So we used to have monthly all hands meeting before the pandemic, and now we do fortnightly all hands meeting. So 1 hour every week, right? And a few weeks there are question and answers also in that. But whether we do well or we don't do well, whether we fail or we are facing some challenge or we fall down or whatever, we are very transparent about what has happened. And we also discuss about how we can pick ourselves up, because we are real, right? It's not like we only face success in whatever we do and we don't fail, right? So in that sense, I would say I also conduct myself as a human. That's what I will say. So it is not like because some places I have seen, the bosses behave like they are invincible and they will never fail, right? And that is where creates stress for everybody. So the moment you are real, I think more and more younger people also want to work with people who are real, right? Who see other people also. My boss also has these shortcomings, and he is also openly admitting it. He also, for example, I used to tell I don't know to people at least once a day, so that none of my managers think because they are managers they are supposed to know everything. Because I remember one of my first jobs in the industry, I was working in HCL, I used to feel some of the managers are afraid of facing people because they don't want to admit that they don't have power to fix something, or they don't have authority to fix something, or they don't know something, right? So one of the first lessons I have I learned and I have started practicing is, let us be open. I can do this, I can't do this. We can afford this, we can't afford this. I know this, I don't know this, right? So those things make a huge difference. I think I can really see our people becoming more and more engaged and happier and happier, and that is leading to more and more success also. Mainly I would say because of this happiness first, the psychological safety we want to offer, and what we call a social connectedness, right? It's not like, all the work is done as a transaction. How do we get to know people? How can we accommodate their aspirations and their context and the situations, right? So those are the things I think that are helping.
Fantastic. So I have a follow-up question on this, Kumar. When you measure happiness first, you yourself in one of the interviews, I heard you say that it's very difficult to satisfy an Indian customer. And you used the word that sometimes the self-esteem itself is questioned. Okay. And when that happens, your happiness first takes a beating. And how do you address those issues? Because, when you work for a global backend, if I were to call it, it's very easy because the client on the other side is mature and things like that. But here, the rigor and the hard thing that they go through will be very, very tough. So when you measure this every day, and when you find something like this, can you give me some instances of where you saw unhappiness? How did you address it? And therefore, how did it help? I think it's something that I would like to know.
See, I will first address this, challenges in servicing customer and the self-esteem point you talked about, right? So I would say, is that something we have control over and we can fix it? Absolutely yes. So that means, from the beginning, we have tried to, take control of that. How do we, if these are all the customer expectations, how do we make sure we don't put ourselves in a situation where we have to compromise our dignity, our self-esteem, and we have to be yelled at by customer, right? So I'll give you one example. In a retail environment, consumers are picking up the goods, or they are getting serviced, and they have to be billed. If for some reason billing stops, the retailer is going to be wild because it is his livelihood and he cannot serve his customer. Now, the 99% of the time, the billing will stop because there is no disk space. The bill cannot be saved. Or there could be a loose contact between the printer cable connected to the computer. Or a mouse would have, bitten the cable. Right? And so many other reasons are there where it is an environmental problem rather than a problem on GoFrugal software, right? So what we did is, how can we identify, okay, this is something which is going to trigger customer and he is going to be wild, and they don't have control over what they speak when it happens. But after they know that it is disk space problem and we service them, 90% of them even apologize, saying, we went out of the way, but they should not have yelled, but a word spoken cannot be taken back, right? So what we did is, how do we identify this 1 week, 1 week or even 2 weeks ahead? How can we send an SMS or notification, and show in the application itself, so that the owner will not miss it, the IT head won't miss, SPOC won't miss it, the shop boy won't miss it, right? And similarly, we also know how many times we raised this with the customer, right? So if there is a breakdown happening, we made the customer come to us and request, right? So every single situation, we looked at it as an engineering problem. How do we proactively inform the customer? How do we even proactively remind the customer? Sometimes 3 days before, we will even call the customer and tell, where we tell them, okay, if you come after disk is full, you want us to service, you have to pay. It will not be free service. You go and clean it up. This is the 1-minute video that is there, and how to create a free disk space, right? So like that, we have solved a lot of the issues so that such breakdowns don't happen, right? Wherever breakdown possibilities are there, can we proactively identify it? Can we proactively communicate that? Can we proactively communicate the impact of that? Can we proactively communicate the service cost if they come after the breakdown for that, so that there is more, awareness to address it before the breakdown situation arises. So that is the way we have, we have reduced our work. We have, significantly lowered the incidents where we put ourselves in stressful situation and put customer also in a very stressful and frustrating situation, so that we are able to proactively manage that. Okay. And coming to your question on this unhappiness and how do we manage it, right? So for example, we are closed on the weekends, right? But our customers' peak business is in the weekends, right? While we provide a 24/7 service, our support team alone, some part of the support team which have a holiday roster is actually working during the weekend, right? So now there may be support instances where the support guys need the help of some other experts or somebody in development or somebody in implementation who does not have the duty on the weekend, right? Our engineering, sales, implementation, for everybody it is a holiday on Saturday and Sunday, except the fourth Saturday, right? But the support people who are on duty during those times, sometimes they need the help. So I noticed that many times, in few occasions, people would have scheduled family engagement, an outing or a movie or something like that, and because of a customer escalation, they have to cancel that, and they also miss that family outing, but they also sort of they have to face the music from the family members also, right? So we started a project called Project Peaceful Holidays. So that means why would somebody who has to work on that day, he has to work, but whoever is on a holiday on the weekend, they should never be disturbed. So what are the reasons for which they will they have to be called? Is it a knowledge issue of the agent? Is it a skill issue of the agent? Is it a problem that can only be looked at by troubleshooted by a more skilled person or only by a developer? And how can we eliminate that? So we did this for a few months, and analyzed. So when we started, if in a weekend, if there are 6 or 8 times in which somebody had to be disturbed, we brought it down to 1 or 2 times, and we put in motion a plan where maybe it will be eliminated, right? Because so when somebody, first is we have to make people comfortable expressing their emotion, even if that emotion is a frustration due to how their team lead is running the project, right? Because many times I have the power to create most stress to my team, right? So whether I exercise my power that way or not is the question, right? So it is true of every level of managers, right? Because so this is one example. How can we take control? So whatever we can control, we want to give priority and control that. And the second thing is we emphasized on lot of unhappiness is because people have to do a lot of unplanned work. So when they do more and more unplanned work, their planned work is taking a beating. Their planned work gets delayed, and they have to give an excuse for delayed planned work, and that is affecting the self-esteem of people, right? So how can we come up with a better and better plan? So that these are all 1 week, 2 week plan. In a 1 week period, if we can't do 90% of the time only planned work, we cannot anticipate what unplanned work will come in a 1 week window, 2 week window, then it's not a healthy thing. We are only reacting and jumping up and down, right? So we put lot of emphasis on planning, so that 60-70% of the people can work and complete their work as per the plan, and they have a say in the plan from the beginning. So these things improve engagement, increases ownership, increases the commitment, right? And by and large make people happier.
I have seen that work in a GDC, which is a Global Development Center, but typically the client on the other side in India, your retail client or whatever, has to be as planned like you, because the unplannedness of somebody else affects my planning, right? Which is where this unhappiness or peaceful holidays project typically has an issue. So therefore, how do you address that? Because this is real in India. What you are talking is real in India. It's great if you're running a global process. It's great, but when you do it every day in India, the fact that it is amazing that you have done something like this. How do you plan that? Because the client is unplanned. Your retail client is unplanned. So how do you really build that bridge to ensure that it happens?
No, actually, see, there are two things, right? One is people who are in the role of responding to customers. So, for example, if I have a support team member, their job is to respond to customer. They don't know who is going to come for support, what they are going to come for today. But we know that based on historic averages and how the support incidents are trending, right? What is whether it is in an increasing trend or downward spiral, what kind of things are coming. So, for example, today I know for this product, time-wise, hour-wise, if I plot, this is how the graph will look like. Today is a Friday, right? And we have done the shift roster to handle that load, right? So we know the typical average service time still. We know how many customers will come and things like that. So we have, we know, for example, if today current shift is having 8 people, we know 6 people are enough to handle the support volume, and we will have 2 people to do some, you can say some identifying or making us more proactive for certain other incident, or eliminating certain support incidents, or making something as a self-service. Those kind of work, these 2 people will be working. And if there is a critical issue that shows up, or if there is something that takes a very long time comes up and one guy is engaged, these guys can be asked to drop what they are doing and go and attend to support. So there is one plan for how do we manage development and marketing kind of work. There is another plan for how the sales guy and support person and customer success person work. Right? Because in customer success and sales, while they may do some inbound will be there, their work 60% will be outbound engagement that is already planned. And 30-40% will be the inbound call that customers may be calling, which they have no control over. Similarly, in support, maybe 100% of the time they react or respond to what is coming. But we know the load in both the cases, so we manage that.
So one thing that I'm picking up is the way you therefore manage the company literally is data driven, right? Because it looks like you look at the number of support incidents that come in, then you look at agile product development. So a lot of things is data driven. So do you bring different sets of data together and then look at it on a regular basis, and how often do you look at it, and how do you ensure that people are aware of these issues?
Actually, I would say we are number 1 emotion driven, number 2 data driven. So what and we validate one with other, right? Because, for example, like I have had this conversation with people who are in pre-sales, right? When they say I have made, every day I have to talk to 60 different customers, and each call is about 15 minutes. But when the data says they have actually made 30 calls and each call is only 2 minutes, right? So there is a gap between this perception and reality, especially when, so we make every individual actually face the truth like this. Because if you do 30 calls at 2 minutes average and you think you have done 60 at 15-minute average, then your job is a burden for you. So the burden is not on the call you are making, but the burden is in your mind, right? So either you have to correct your mind so that you can actually acknowledge the real truth and real experience, or you basically, or if it is too much of a burden, then find something else. Because in the interview, people say they love talking to people. But after 1 or 2 weeks in the job, their love is shown in the perception or the feeling they get about how many people they talk to and how long they talk to with each one, right? And what the data says. So the most important thing for me always been, how do people feel rather than what did the data say, right? Because a lot of insights you get when you ask people how do they feel, right? The data can be used to validate that. Right. See, finally, I would say one of the most important thing we do, in fact, to even our Glassdoor rating or all the other things, is making everybody more self-aware, right? So, for example, when something happens, the first thing we ask is whether that individual understands where the mistake happened, without me telling. So, am I able to do a root cause analysis myself? Am I able to come up with what I should have done differently? Right? So, if that self-awareness is there and the commitment to improve that is there, we don't have to manage them at all. We just have to give them the time and space and the coaching that is required. Right? So, we focus on building the self-awareness in all aspects of the work we do. So, that means the management is number one, how do they feel? Right, and what does the data say? We then talk about the one truth.
In the final part of the Timeless Wisdom series, Kumar Vembu discusses the digital transformation and how it helped him reshape his company's structure and culture. More about this in the next part of this episode. If you like this episode, do comment, like and share it within your network. It helps spread the message and get us more people into the ContraMinds community. Thanks for listening.